Evan, my son Evan, was diagnosed. Well, the first thing that happened to him, if I can get into it,
Yeah.
was seizures. He started having seizures, and they were life-threatening seizures, like cardiac arrest.
Yeah,
He
like
lost
I remember
times.
reading you said that in the ambulance they had to give you the thumbs up that they brought him back at one point.
Yeah,
My heart sunk into my like
yeah.
toes.
Waiting for the paramedics when he went into cardiac arrest from that seizure was there's nothing worse. Can you imagine? He's 2.5 years old. He's turning blue, and I'm on the phone with 911, like screaming at them to hurry up, and they can't come fast enough. And so when they come in, it's always so scary because I've had to deal with EMTs, and I love them all, but they walk in slowly always. There's always a long driveway at the house I'm in, and they're walking. And I am Sally Field or Shirley MacLaine in the, Terms of Endearment movie, screaming at the nurse counter, screaming. And they came in and started CPR in the room and then got him back, got in the ambulance. They lost him again, got him back in the ambulance. And that I had so many conversations with God in that moment of like, bring back my boy. First, I was going to say, or I'll kill myself. That was the first thing. I'm like, do I run in traffic? Do I take a knife? Because I'm not living without my son. Like that was a no deal. He had to survive. So then once he did, and then I got the autism diagnosis shortly after that. I hit such a low, of course, being compounded with that, the seizures and then the autism diagnosis. I was like, I just remember crying so hard in the shower. Like one of those scenes you see in a movie where you're like in so much pain, and that felt so helpless. Because I'm like, how did my son get diagnosed when he was a normal, typical child? Like he hit his milestones. He did have some little red flags of like eczema, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things, but no, he was smiling, he was talking,
This is all leading up to the
leading
vaccine.
up to this. When I was on Oprah is when I first came out with my book, and that's really, I really outed myself. Oprah had me on because she said, we received so many letters over the years, so many, like parents were pounding Oprah to do a story on the association between vaccines and autism, and she just couldn't do it. So when my book came around, I was able to tell my perspective, my story. And she told me I had to go on live because otherwise the show would be either censored or edited. So we had to go live.
No way. She's a gangster.
Gangster. She was a gangster back then. Yeah.
Holy moly. What a brilliant.
Right? Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant thing. So she still had to read a giant long page
Disclaimer.
while, doing the show. But it didn't matter because people heard me, parents heard me and said, and the thing that I want to reiterate too was, and I said it a million times back then, that it's not a cure. You're healing the injuries that are associated. And people go like, well, how did you make the connection between the kind of the vaccines and the autism? Because I've never always said I'm not against them, but there is, in fact, part of the population that cannot handle them. And my son was one of them because it was after his MMR when his encephalitis, which then clinically in published science, encephalitis leads to autism.